What's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now today's video is going to be a lot different. What I wanted to do today is tell y'all my story over the past 4 years, and I've done introductions and other little things before, but I never really gave a full explanation or walkthrough, little story time. But I'm going to try to make most of it kind of short, but there's a specific part that I want to tell you guys about, and I feel like when I get to that part, I hope it really resonates with some of y'all. It may open some of y'all's eyes that do keto and realize what I realized. But I'll get to that here in just a little bit. But let's rewind back to 2016, September 1st. That's when I finally decided that I was going to do something about my health and my weight. Now, I had previously lost weight before doing calorie restriction and a lot of working out, and that wasn't sustainable for me. I ended up going off of it, and I ended up gaining a pretty good bit of weight. I had got down to probably about, I think I was about 150. Well, when I started in September of 2016, I was up to 195. To some of y'all, that may not be a very big number at all, but for me, I'm only 5'8", okay? I'm not a very tall person. So 195, I was pretty chubby. The biggest thing that really I hated too was my energy levels were nothing like they should be. Because at the time, I was 24 and I felt like I was almost 50 half the time. You know, every time I'd eat, I'd feel real sluggish and lethargic. If you don't do keto and you're experiencing this, then this will probably help you out too. I decided to make the switch, and I just started consuming a lot of animal-based stuff. I was probably about 60 to 70% carnivore for the longest time doing keto, because that's just the stuff I liked. You know, a lot of beef, a lot of eggs, cheeses, and stuff like that. And I just stayed steady with it. And occasionally I would cheat. I would, have things like, my personal weakness would be things like ice cream and popcorn, and chocolate chip cookies, if they're made right. Those were some of my biggest weaknesses, and once in a while I would cheat on those things, and I continued doing that for the longest time. And I also had a go around or two with sugar-free candies and consuming copious amounts of nuts and nut butter. You know, I had a lot of different problems and issues with those, and I finally fixed them, resolved them, as I educated myself more and more about them, because back when I started keto, there wasn't much on it. I literally ran into the keto diet on a bodybuilding site, actually a YouTube channel, that they had done a video on keto, and I never heard of it, so I watched it and I understood the basics of it and everything. But like I said, not much out there. There was almost zero products that were, keto. That's another reason I had to kind of go with the basics. I didn't have many treats and stuff to choose from at the time. And now we got tons of them though, right? They're everywhere. During this time, and this is going to lead into the biggest point of my story, talking about like the sugar-free candies and stuff, I've always had a big sweet tooth, and that continued all the way into keto, and I was able to cut out a lot of things. Like, I loved barbecue sauce. I was the person that would put barbecue sauce on almost anything. I know some people that love putting ranch or Thousand Island dressing on anything. Well, mine was barbecue sauce, and I eventually got that cut out. And now there are sugar-free barbecue sauces and stuff, but I personally stay away from them for certain reasons. I was always trying to fulfill that sweet tooth with something. because I would have it multiple times throughout the day. And like I said, I had the sugar-free candies for a while, then I got rid of those. And then I got into making my own keto treats because I started finding recipes and stuff that were coming out on different keto treats, all kinds of stuff. You've got the dessert breads, different cookies and things you can make. There's just a lot of them, and I started making those. It got to the point and where I realized finally that if I didn't bring some kind of keto treat, something sweet with me, for example, to work, or if I was off for the day and I was at home, I had to have it. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I had to have something sweet, or I felt like my day was completely ruined. It was done. I should have known right there there's still something wrong. There's something not right. So this is what I've been talking about. I'm going to lead up into. I'm no psychologist or doctor. Most of y'all that watch me already, you know that. So this is basically just my opinion on what I've observed from myself. While I did cut out pretty much all sugar and most of the carbs, I still didn't get rid of the actual carb addiction. Okay, and a guy named Dr. Rob Siwas, he's the carb addiction doc. I love some of the videos he does because he views all this stuff, this change, as fighting carb addiction. I did cut out all that stuff, so I did get all the metabolic advantages because I lost a bunch of weight. I got down within 6 months from 195 to now, and I stay between 140 and 145. And I don't do portion control. I don't count macros. I just eat till I'm satisfied, and I eat twice a day, and I occasionally have some keto treats, but I don't feel like I absolutely have to have them. And that was the problem that I finally realized. It was mental. I cut out the actual metabolic part of it, but I still had that mental addiction because even if it's a keto approved sweetener like allulose or erythritol, stevia, when you consume these things, they're still going to light up certain parts of your brain, the reward system. You get that dopamine spike that makes you feel good. It's almost like dopamine addiction. That's what I had going on. And like I said, I didn't realize it for the longest time, and it really hit me though when it was back in March of this year, 2020, when what hit. Due to the nature of my work, we were out of work for 2 months, and I'm very blessed and thankful though that I was able to get unemployment and still pay my bills. So during that time, I started taking up different hobbies. There's some different things I learned. Obviously, I learned Photoshop, also video editing. As you can see, I edit all my videos personally. What I found was, instead of, just binging on Netflix or doing something that's not productive at all, kind of felt like a void I had, because it got to where during that time when I was at home so much that I would make things for supper and lunch, and it got to where I didn't have to have those sweet things. Like, I would make my supper and then sit down at my computer and eat. I'd get done, I'd be fine, because I'd be wanting to get right back to what I was doing. I didn't care to go make some kind of sweet thing or take the time to do that. I was putting all my time into something else. Since then, I very rarely have many keto treats. Maybe a few times a week, and that's it. Compared to 3 to 4 times plus a day that I was doing before. And if I didn't have those, my day, like I said, was ruined. It was over. You know, I felt like someone that's a smoker that ain't had a cigarette all day. Basically, what I'm getting at here is, if you have this issue, or if you do this and you don't realize it's an issue, it could be an issue for you. Because what I was doing was still recovering from mental carb addiction. That's what I'm going to call it. I was still recovering from that all the way up to about 3.5 years of doing this, guys. 3.5 years. I may have cut out all the other stuff and the sugars that I was intaking metabolically, but I still hadn't healed my mental addiction, and I was just replacing it with other things. I mean, it's like taking, say, a meth addict, right? Well, you know, it's great that you can give them something to help them cope with craving that meth. The ideal situation would be to eventually get them completely off that, and that's kind of what I experienced with keto sweeteners. I learned that I didn't have to have them that much, and the biggest thing that helped me was having something to replace that dopamine hit that I was craving, you know, constantly throughout the day. I replaced it with an activity, which turned into a hobby, and it can be either one. So if you have this going on and you don't realize it, or you realize it and you want to do something about it, this is what I really suggest doing. Find something, some activity, or take up a hobby or something that gives you joy and pleasure that you love doing. I mean, it could be something simple as, say, you want to take this on kind of like the way I did. It ain't got to be, you know, Photoshop or something. Say, every time you want something sweet and you've done 8 and you feel like you just got to have it, you could do something as simple. If you have a dog, take your dog for a walk. Or maybe have some kind of drink or something that you sip on. But yeah, just replace it with some kind of activity, something you enjoy doing or that just takes your mind off of it. From personal experience, since March, I'm telling you, it is amazing the turnaround that I've had with that. Because like I said, I went that long doing that, and that just was not good. And not to mention, also, it made me want to snack a lot more. Like, I would eat, and I could eat a big meal. I mean, I've ate 2 pounds worth of ground beef before, and sure enough, 30-45 minutes later, I'd want something else. It's insane, right? But it was something sweet, slightly. That's what I would always be craving. So it was just amazing turnaround to see that happen like that. Since that happened, I have, and this is big, listen to this. If nothing else, listen to this. Since I did that, I have not cheated one time since March on anything. I haven't had any kind of popcorns or ice creams or cookies. Now, I do have Rebel ice cream occasionally, but that's keto friendly. That's okay to have that. I'm talking about the real ice cream with all the nasty crap in it. I've had none of that stuff, and I used to cheat about anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. You know, I'd have that one night, and I would find 2 or 3 movies I wanted to watch, and I'd sit back with just a grand cheat feast of just all kinds of garbage, right? And that was my way of getting that big dopamine hit and making me feel better. And then it just translated to the next day when I went back on the keto stuff. I was just replacing it with keto sweetened stuff and other things like that. Guys, I was even adding sweetener to my regular food. 2 ground beef, 2 eggs. I was taking, and not just sweetener, I was making like certain sauces and glazes with like maca powder and some other things. But once again, I had to have them. If I couldn't make those with those meals, I didn't want them, period. That's a problem. That's the biggest thing that I kept doing and not thinking to myself, wait a minute, I don't need to be craving this like this. It's just awful. So, yeah, I haven't cheated since then because, once again, like I said earlier, I've replaced it with other activities. I've got to the point to where I haven't had it for so long, I've been able to recover from that mental addiction of needing it so bad. I've got over that. So about a month ago, I said to myself, you know what? I haven't cheated this long. I'm going to go for a 365 day cheat free. I'm going to do it for a whole year. And honestly, probably longer. We've got Thanksgiving coming up, and then Christmas, and then New Year's. You know, those are very tough holidays, guys, to not cheat, because the food and the candies, it's absolutely everywhere. You know, you go to your family's house and they don't do keto, they're going to have all that stuff, and it's going to be right in your face temptation. But I'm confident from making this switch since March that I'm going to be able to handle it. The most I might have is maybe a small serving of, maybe, like, if I'm at somebody's house and I have no other choice and I need to eat, maybe some of the ham. Hopefully it's not honey ham. I'm going to stay away from all the starchy, high sugar stuff for at least 365 days, which will be next March. And I'll probably take it longer than that. To close out this video though, after telling you all of that, and if you're thinking about it real hard, I want to challenge anyone that's watching this to a 365 day no cheat. And you ain't gotta leave a comment saying you're doing it, but I'd appreciate if you'd leave a comment. Just say, hey, I'm going for the 365. Shoot, even just 6 months. Set a period and challenge yourself, because that could also be a great time when you go for that, and you might find a new hobby or activity that you didn't know you like during that time, trying to replace those cheat meals if you're someone that likes having cheat meals. Or if you want to go all the way and just cut out keto sweeteners and cheat meals both, you know, that could be a great outcome from that. But yeah, I challenge you guys to a 365 day no cheat. I know this is pretty lengthy and I hope I haven't bored y'all, but I hope you liked it, and if you do, make sure you hit the like button. As always, keep it keto, keep it healthy, and until next Sunday, I'll see you guys in another one of my videos.